Michelle Forbes! I am not, I normally don't pay too much attention to the fashion of the guest because I'm sure it's always fine, but I love your shirt.
Thank
Keith
you.
Richards for president?
And why not?
What a badass country it would be.
Right?
Right? I mean, oh, that would be so good.
Having a lot of fun, right?
You know, everybody would though, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of contagious.
Yeah.
Addictive, let's just say. How's life? I mean, you've been really busy. Before you go, don't say too much about how your character ended in True. I don't want to know. I'm not caught up on season 2 True Blood, so be careful. No
Mr.
spoilers. How did it go? Was that fun for you?
I think it'll be really interesting. It was the best death I've ever had, and I've died a lot.
See,
so
Mishka, that counts as a spoiler.
Hey,
I didn't know.
Oh my God! You were too behind. I can't help that you're so behind, pal.
No, actually, no, I didn't know about it. Yeah, that's like we were running down your bio. You heard Jen's voice. All the different things you've been able to pull off in your career in television. Did you have an idea that you would be able to go down so many different roads when you started?
I didn't have an idea. I mean, there's been no cunning plan for me whatsoever. But I wanted variety. I wanted to keep exploring new stories. The idea of being on one show for 7 years has always terrified me. You just want to do as many things as possible, play as many things as possible. And that's why I like the spirit of the UK, where you have repertory theater, you can do television, you can do anything, and you weren't stigmatized by it. Now, I think it's gotten a lot it's a lot better in the States right now. Television is no longer the ugly stepsister,
right,
which I think is fantastic.
It's the golden age of television right now.
Right?
It's the best TV ever
I think
made.
we're going to look back on this time and really see that this was the moment.
What was funny when we were playing your bio as you walked in, the moment that Jace Everett song, that True Blood theme song, people had an actual physical reaction to it. It became something else. When you read the True Blood script, did you think, this is a job? Or did you think this is going to become something?
I didn't know, and the first season hadn't aired yet. And I was actually in Montreal working when it was airing, so I didn't even know what the response was, and I still hadn't seen it. I'd seen the first 2 episodes. They let me see the first 2 episodes. But I don't think any of us knew what it was going to turn into.
And it becomes it's not a vampire story, because the way he pitched it was that True Blood is about the fear of intimacy, and that's what this series became. When you're performing, are they talking to you, talking those parts through, saying it's not about your character and this shapeshifter, it's something deeper than that?
No, we don't really have those conversations.
It's just, you're having sex with a shapeshifter. That's your motivation. And it's going to be really fast and kind of like, it's going to staccato, and then it's going to be over and you won't even know what happened.
Mishka, just go over there and shake around a bit. Okay, now go home. That's all they told me. You do what's in front of you. We're actors. You hit your mark, you do as you're told. No, I'm kidding. You know, it's a wonderful set, let me just say that. I mean, everyone really gets along, and there's a great sense of shared intellect and shared humor. Everyone's very equal in that. It's like everyone's in on the joke, and everyone's in on the truth of it. And it's just, there's a wonderful sort of unspoken understanding that happens there. And we all have questions about, little things here and there, but we all knew what we were doing because, it's Alan Ball's world. And he is somebody who is deeply rooted in emotions and deeply curious about human nature and curious about, the dynamics of intimacy.
The more you do this and the older you get and the more experiences you collect, the harder it is to be surprised. The harder it is or the harder you have to work, I think, for discovery. Yeah. So are you searching for that now?
I think in some ways it is easier. I mean, it is difficult. I'm very aware at how it's harder for me to do that. At the same time, I think one of the luxuries we have as actors is we don't have to grow up. And you do always, on some level, maintain that childlike wonder. That's part of your job. And I think I'm just very fortunate because I keep running into these situations like, True Blood, where you get to go and be a kid still and play pretend and, chase after people in odd clothes and do all these odd things. And you have to have that childlike wonder to do that. And I really do think that is one of the most glorious things about what we do. And I guess the flip side of that is we're all pretty immature.
So does this role in True Blood then essentially serve as a pivot role for you, in that being able to play with that sense of wonder every day maybe reminds you of, for your next selection, your next choice, that this is what you want to explore?
I never know what I want to explore next. I'm just forever indebted to Alan Ball because this is not a role normal people would have hired me for.
You know, we were talking about the golden age of television and what HBO and Sopranos and all those shows and 6 Feet Under had done for it. Canada is a few years behind in terms of their attempts for lots of reasons. Durham County was one of them. Where Canada's starting to make, the cable networks are starting to take a step into that. You're in Durham County. What was that experience like?
I had a great time. I was really, really grateful to be a part of that Canadian voice and to experience that. I've worked a lot in Canada, but it's always been on American productions, so it was curious to me to be a part of that Canadian voice, and I was so pleased about, you know, the visuals on that show. The cinematography, and Adrian Mitchell is really responsible for that, and Eric Kaler, our DOP. I thought it was just stunning to look at. And
how different is the Canadian voice from what you're used to?
I think there's a very profound Canadian voice. It's just quiet. And I mean that in many different ways. You're very quiet about it, you're very modest about it, and also so many of the films, Canadian films that I've seen that I love, what I keep sensing and what's really piercing me is that there's so much quiet in it. And a lot of those Cronenberg films, you'll find this, like, these long, quiet, silent moments that are a little unnerving. And that's true in a lot of films. You know, there's this little gem called Flower and Garnet that's quiet in a different way. And I really respect that about Canadian films, and I really respond to it. So,
because as an actor, I suppose you have to find a different kind of subtlety within your own delivery, don't you, when you recognize that empty spaces are as important as dialogue sometimes?
Well, I've always said that, and I think that's why I respond so much to it, because, you know, especially in television, they feel they have to fill up every moment with everybody jabbering, to get all this information out to the audience, and I respect the audience too much. I think those moments, those silent moments, those private moments are incredibly important. I just feel that the Canadians kind of get that, you know, and I appreciate that. So, I had a great time doing that, and I loved working in Montreal. Montreal is a fantastic city. Oh, sorry.
You know what? In fact, I believe that's what it says on the sign. So it just is in French, so we can't read it. But no, you can say whatever you want, Mrs.
Oh, that's right.
This is Canada, after all. Michelle Forbes, everybody.